Alrighty. Well, I think we can go ahead and kick things off to make sure we get the full use of the hour. Lori was just telling us she's going to introduce herself in her quintessential way that she does at conferences. So I'm going to hand it over to Lori. Before I do that, though, this is our third in our networking series. So thank you to everyone who has been here for the other two sessions. And no worries if you haven't, I can drop a link to the recordings if you want to go back and check out, but you don't need to have been here. So with that, Lori, I will let you take it from here.
Natalie, thank you so much for bringing us all together today. And per popular request, this is how I introduce myself to brand new people who I don't know who they are. My name is Laurie. I am super fucking magic. And I help ambitious, motivated people walk through the fear that prevents them from waking up and walking around in their dreams. Now, it's very interesting that we got that request today because I love being in that loud room. Oh, I do backstroke in there. I love it. I would sleep in there only if everyone slept in there with me. That's who I am. That's not what this hour is about at all. We can talk about that room if you want to, but I want everybody, if you take one thing out of this whole call, take this. You do not have to go to that room to be good at networking. You do not have to go to that room to be good at networking. And if you go to that room, you don't have to stand in the middle of it and say audacious things that draw attention, like I love doing, and try to get 50 business cards in a half an hour. I totally could get 50 business cards in a half an hour. I'll get 60. And that is a very ineffective way of networking. I know there's a wild fallacy about how we network and how we do this. That is not what today is about. Today is about all of the effective ways to network that might feel more accessible if you self-identify as an introvert or an ambivert, or you just hate that room. So Natalie put together Slido for me. And if I may, can I kick it back to you for a second to introduce Slido and what we're going to do with it? Because I want this to be a writing forward room today. You can all stay off video. It's okay. Nobody has to come off mic.
Awesome. I'm dropping a link to a Slido in the chat. You can click on that, and then that's where you can ask questions. You can submit questions, and then you can also see other questions that people have submitted. If you agree with someone's question, you can give it a thumbs up. Just click the little thumbs up icon, and then I will select the questions that have the most upvotes, and we'll go from there. You have an option to make your questions anonymous if you'd like. So if you want to remain undercover, go ahead and do that. You can put your name to it as well. But if you don't want me to say your name, make it anonymous because I will read out your name if it's on there. And yeah, so Laura, you want to kind of give some more background on like what types of questions?
Yeah, so I'm just going to kick off on what we're doing. Take your time to think of questions. They might come up as we come along, and I have an easier task for you. I made a little word cloud in there, and the question is really simple. It's just, when you think of networking, how do you feel? It's open answer. I'm just curious to see what the temperature of the room is. If I were going to answer this today, I might pick a word like energized, exhilarating, full of opportunity. The world is an abundant place. Opportunities flow to me. That's who I am. And I honor that that's not where everybody is. So just take a second. We're going to do a lot of writing today. If you have a question, put it in there. Take a second to think about the word cloud.
Awesome. Y'all can see those words coming in, right?
Yeah, I really appreciate you putting that in there. It's easier to understand the temperature of the room. Yeah. Oh, I want to give every one of you a hug right now and honor that you might not want that. Oh my gosh, I love the eye roll. Okay. case anybody feels like they really want to, take the guardrails off, I unticked the profanity filter on this one. You're welcome to let your true feelings out. It's all anonymous. So I just, if I could ask everybody, maybe if you're in the middle of writing or if you're all done, can you just take a second to be with this list for a second? This is, I'm going to make an assumption. Everybody in here was told you need to do some networking. Does that resonate with anybody? Yeah, this is like a pervasive, common in our culture message. You need to do some networking. And if you could glance back at the screen one more time. And if how you start doing this task that somebody told you you need to do is you start with this is going to be a difficult thing for you. And I want to repeat something I said just a couple minutes ago. If you take nothing from this hour today, take this one thing. You never have to go into that room. You never have to go to that conference. You never have to go to that event. And if you do, you don't have to talk to strangers and you can leave whenever you want and still be effective at networking. David, thank you. I do also notice that curious is right in the middle. Is that maybe, Natalie, does this work that that's the most common one? The middle
Yeah,
one?
the bigger ones are the most common ones. So stressed,
Interesting.
curious, anxious, tense, and exhausting are the most typed out words.
Okay, so if we start this idea with, oh my God, we have 50 minutes left of networking and this is how we're starting out. Just want to take a second, everybody just take a second and feel your butt in your chair or your feet on the ground and take a big deep breath. You don't have to network the way they taught you to. And when I talk about how they taught you to, I'm doing air quotes if you can't see my camera. If there's no FAQ for them, if there's no customer support line for them, if there's no one to ask any follow-up details on, this is something you heard a long time ago when you heard it so many times that it feels like it's a fact. And you can change the rules. So I want to go into some writing exercises now to help you practice written networking. These writing exercises possibly maybe will help you feel more comfortable in any in-person networking that you choose to do. But you can be really good at networking and never have in-person conversations until you actually find somebody where there's a viable perspective to help you complete your dream. So I made a form. You don't have to put your contact information in this. And I just want to start with helping you understand what is your big dream? What is your big wish? Why are you're all here because you want something. And this form is just a way to get your big wish out there. It's 2 questions. You don't have to answer the second one, which is your contact information. We will share this in the links with the recording, so know that it's not just going to be shared with the people in this room. Put your big wish out there. When I've done this in groups in the past, somebody in the group has the answer to somebody else's wish. And I'm going to pull up the results. And I have the results as a spreadsheet. So I'm actually going to share the results so that you all can see them and peruse them at in your own time.
Sorry, could you share the link again, because I've lost the connection to Zoom and now the chat is gone. So
Absolutely. So here's the link to the Google poll
thank you.
form. And here's the link to the results. If you're not quite ready to put your dream in there, I want to entice you with, you don't have to put your name on it. Sometimes just the act of writing and posting your dream is enough to be inspired. Sometimes just the act of pulling your dream as if it was one spaghetti noodle you were pulling out of the pot helps you get really clear on it, and it might help you focus your efforts. Natalie, I'm wondering if we pick discussion topics out of this list. Just occurred to me.
Oh, it's a really good
Okay.
idea.
You
Now that
can't type into the field.
type
Oh
into the-
no.
you need to fill out the form, not try to type into the Google Sheet. So this is the link to the form that you can fill out, and then it'll auto-populate into the Google Sheet. I think that's the issue you're having. Let me know if that doesn't work.
If you've already put your dream in here, could you browse the others? Sometimes one person's seemingly impossible dream is easy peasy lemon squeezy for somebody else to help with. That person might be in here today. Natalie, how many people are in here right now?
There are 46 of us.
Pretty good chance that somebody in here can help you move the needle on it. So I'm going to look through these. Line number 6. I hear this one a lot. Land a full-time job in a team-oriented climate startup. I love that you wove in team-oriented. Not everybody gets that specific. That's amazing. Know that you want to be in a team-oriented place. In a climate startup. This one is kind of a big umbrella wish. There's a lot of different opportunities that could fall under this and be satisfying. And so what I want you to think about is, if you know that that is the region that you're headed to, which cities in that region might be more appealing than others? And the reason I'm saying that is climate is an economy, and there are many sectors of climate. And if any sector would be good, know that. If you have skills that could be applied to any sector, know that. That's okay. It just means that you have a really broad net that you've cast. If water quality is really important to you, think about modifying that and saying, I really want to work on water quality. That's my number one. I would take the others, but that's my number one. Or waste, or energy, or carbon, or whatever it is. Sometimes it helps to drill down and get really specific. You can enter as many wishes into this form as you want. You can enter them in later today. You can enter them in next week. I'm not going to let this live forever. Another one that's really specific, number 11, connections to organizations who need fractional finance support, like financial projections, budgets, reporting, or grant writing support. That is really specific. Somebody in here might know somebody who needs that. Please keep an eye on the chat. Here's an offer to help you connect. Everybody in here. It's hard to do absolutes. I bet most of you are in here because you need to do some networking and you have a big wish. So therefore, everybody in here is probably very willing to help you. I am also very willing to help you. So having thought through this one, you've got one under your belt. Actually, you've got two. You've got the word cloudy, you've got this one under your belt. I want to introduce to you the idea of the magic formula. The magic formula, the way this form is written is it's specifically for introduction requests. You can use the magic formula just for asking for stuff. It doesn't have to necessarily be an introduction. The magic formula is not a bad way to start a negotiation. So here's another Google form. You do have to put your email into this. I will be ethical with your email. I do that so that it sends you a copy so you have a record of it. I want you to think of this form as kind of like a rapid prototyping, iterating kind of a thing. You are pulling spaghetti strands out of the bowl to get clarity out of all of your thoughts. So the way this form is set up is you've identified a certain human you want to talk to. You can skip that step if you just want to practice. That's okay. I don't think that one's not required. The practice for this here, the extroverts like me who go and have chitty chatty in the loud room, we learn something about the human we're talking to. When I do that, I'm listening. I ask open-ended questions so I can learn what's exciting for you. You don't have to do that in conversation. A lot of people post what's interesting to them on the internet. You could spend 2 minutes reading their LinkedIn and probably understand something about them that really connects with something about who you are. You're both really into water quality. Maybe you both went to the same school. Maybe you both know the same second language. Maybe you both really like water skiing. I don't know. Find something. Here's why this is the magic formula. You are all multifaceted, complex humans, as am I. If I just throw all of my facets at you, it's confusing. If you just throw all of your facets at me, it's confusing and it's boring. I honestly don't have the attention span to listen to the ones that aren't relevant to me. My brain will wander. I will start wondering if there's any hors d'oeuvres left. But if you hit me with something that makes my eyebrows do that, whether you can see my eyebrows or not, now you've got me. This is a tool that you can use right now. This is a tool that you can use later on. It is intended to help you practice and iterate. You are the only one who's going to get a copy of this. If anybody has questions, oh, go ahead.
Sorry, do we have to fill out everything on the form first?
Only the ones with an asterisk, which is your
Okay.
email. Your email is the only one that's required. And if you don't want it to email it to you, if you want to copy and paste it, do it. And I want to remind you that the Slido has a Q&A, which nobody has used yet. You can ask questions in there anonymously, or you can put them in the chat. If you don't want Natalie to read your name, please say that if you put it in the chat. So one of the challenges with this form is it kind of assumes that you have a network big enough in the area that you're headed to be close enough to the people you want to talk to get intros. If that doesn't feel true for you, and if that makes you feel any of the words that were in the word cloud, it's okay. I love network building. I've been doing it for a long time. Ooh. Let me finish my thought and then we'll come to this. I have put a lot of time and energy into building a networking climate. That is my LinkedIn profile. That is where my network is. When you go here, don't follow me. Ask to connect. I accept all connections. And I do loads of introductions. You all have a bridge into many sectors of the climate world when you do this one task. I will help you. I want to help you. It feels really good. And I want to reiterate that you don't have to go to that room. You could do this all through LinkedIn and email. Thank you to whoever put your own LinkedIn. Here's your chance. Everybody, put your LinkedIn in the chat. There are 45 people in here who will probably connect with you. I strongly encourage you all to connect and not follow, because when you see that you have a second connection and I'm the common one, all you got to do is ask me. When you send your little message, say, hey, I'm in a Climate People networking event. So you remember how you met that person. While everybody's doing that, Natalie, do you have a favorite one here of the ones that have come up?
Yeah, well, one of them has an upvote, so that means 2 people think that's a good question. So we'll start with that one from Anonymous that says, do you have any suggestions on how to bring my energy up before networking events? Laurie, that was your golden question.
Oh, I love you so much. Whoever put that in there, I see you. I see that this is draining for you, and I see that you're forcing your way through. To be clear, I'm going to answer in a way that I would answer almost anybody saying anything like this about anything that they're doing. If you're doing something because you feel like you have to, and it drains you, and you really have to drain your battery to do it, stop. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Get out of there. When we do things that drain our battery because it feels like they told us to, here's the they again, their advice maybe was given to you out of love, and maybe it's not for you. So, suggestions about how to bring your energy up. Maybe you really do actually have to go into that room. I'm going to interpret your question as, I'd like to have more energy at the end of the event. Here's my suggestions to you. Don't go to the middle of the room. Stay out of there. Just like I wouldn't go to the middle of the trampoline with 6 teenagers on the trampoline, I have passed that phase of life. That is not a safe place for me anymore. Don't go to the middle of the room. Maybe if you know somebody in the room, start by talking to them. If you don't know anybody in the room, maybe consider staying on the edge. I bet you're really good at spotting the other people who don't want to be in that room too. Go talk to one of them, or go stand near one of them. Here's the biggest piece of advice I have for this. If you want more energy at the end of an event that you know is going to drain you, leave. If you have to go and show your face, have one hors d'oeuvre, and get out of there. A lot of beautiful introverts that I know stay in these things until midnight because they feel like they should. They feel like their future career spot prospects are dependent on their attendance at this event. They feel like they might, maybe there's FOMO. I might meet the person who helps me become the C whatever of the who knows what. I promise you that if you're draining your battery to be in there, you're not sending out the best energy. Get out of there. The extroverts won't even notice.
Awesome. Cool. The next question that we have has 3 upvotes, and it says, how do you keep a conversation going past the initial stages? Name, work,
Oh, I
etc.
love this question
especially in
so
a
much.
situation.
I love this question so much. The conversation that you've described, what is it? The initial stages, as if this is how conversation goes. That sounds like the most boring conversation I could imagine being in. That's why I introduced myself like that. Here's my introduction again. This is what I say to people who I've never met before at conferences. My name is Laurie and I'm super fucking magic. I help ambitious people walk through the fear that is preventing them from waking up in their dreams. Do you see now how I'm going to have an amazingly fun and interesting conversation? I'm not asking their name and which company they work for. I'm not asking what brought them to Scottsdale today. I am saying, this is what I want to talk about. And if they don't want to talk about that, they walk away, and I'm good with that. So what I might recommend to you, how do you keep it going? Bring a question to the event and have it in your pocket. Here's a really good one. What's something you learned today? This is why I like this one for introverts. Most people enjoy talking about themselves. And when you ask an open ended question like, tell me something you learned today, you get to see a little bit of window into their world. You get to see what's interesting to them, what their perspective is, what they noticed. You get time in your own head to be well and to make some space for yourself, because people are going to answer that probably in a longish way. Another one might be, what was the best part of your day so far? You could also pick a totally weird one. I did this once at an event where I didn't know. I suspected I wouldn't have a ton in common with the other attendees. I suspected I was going into kind of like a knitting circle book groupy kind of a group, and I can be a little bit of a bull in a china shop when I go in there. And so the question that I brought in, actually it wasn't even a question. I said, I got to watch turtle racing today. Have you ever watched turtle racing? So I want to help you break out of the idea that there's a standard way to have a networking conversation. You might hear that commonly. Sometimes if I don't get to introduce myself, people say, what's your name and where are you from? And then I just don't answer that question because it's boring. So talk about what you want to talk about.
Cool. Next question, 5 upvotes. I just dropped in the chat, but just a reminder, you can upvote questions. Those are the ones I'm reading first. So if you agree with someone else's, go ahead and do that. But again, from Anonymous is, how do you follow up on a past connection if you don't know them too well?
Okay. So what I would ask you if we were having a one-on-one conversation is, what feels weird about following up if you don't know them too well? Because it might be that you want advice to do this because it doesn't feel quite right. And it's okay if that's what it is. I want to invite you to notice that something about that doesn't feel quite right. And the way that I help people move through things that don't feel quite right is I ask them 4 questions that I did not design and are not mine. This is the work of Byron Katie. So we have to kind of figure out what your belief is. In this one, it might be, it's cringe to reach out if we haven't talked in a while. Maybe that's what it is. And so I would ask you this question, is that true? So whoever put this in and whoever upvoted it, I want you to consider, is it true that it's cringe to reach out if you haven't talked to somebody in a while? You're probably saying yes. That's okay. Natalie, I see you shaking your head. I know it's not cringe, whatever. Can you absolutely be sure that it's cringe to reach out if you haven't talked to somebody in a long time? Think about this for a second. Can you be absolutely unequivocally 100% foolproof sure? There's no way you can answer yes to this question. So how do you react when you believe the thought it's cringe to reach out if you haven't reached out in a while? What are your thoughts? What are your behaviors? What are your feelings? And the last question is, who would you be without the thought? Who would you be? You'd be somebody who reached out to a past connection you don't know that well and maybe haven't talked to in a long while, not cringe. And these are not mine. I'm going to put these in the chat. The work by Byron Katie is transformative. I highly encourage you to look it up. And I want to be clear about beliefs. You might believe that networking is awful, and that is okay. Beliefs come out of habits, and habits are just thoughts that you have over and 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 again. You can change your beliefs. What's the opposite of that? It's cringe to reach out to somebody I don't know well and haven't talked to in a long time. An audacious counter belief to that might be all doors open for me. Consider how you might behave when you believe that. It is okay to message someone just because you want something. That is a belief worth fighting for, in my opinion. And I have to do a tiny lecture on why this feels weird. We are humans. Your body is the product of extreme survivalists. Your ancestors just wanted to be alive. They crushed that. That's why we're all here right now. We are hypersensitive to cringe because if our ancestors got kicked out of the village, their chances of survival plummeted. It is counter to evolutionary success to rock the boat and get kicked out of the village. That's why we notice this stuff. And I want to tell you a little secret about extroverts. I notice it too. I'm not immune to it. I do a lot of work to find these beliefs and change them.
Awesome. Next question.
I see the one you're going to ask. I'm so excited.
How do you slide in? This is the one you're talking about, right? This one. Okay. Now, how do you slide into someone's LinkedIn DMs and don't sound like you're trying to sell something if you're a consultant, advisor, fractional CMO like me?
So Natalie, I assume you are a fractional CMO. That's why you put that in there. You don't have to say yes to this. Are you willing to come off mic and have a conversation?
Yeah, no problem.
Awesome. Thank you. I really appreciate it. What does it sound like to be somebody who's trying to sell something?
Yeah, it's hard because I've gotten sold to so much on LinkedIn that I don't even respond to them, and now I'm in a situation where I'm on the other side of the table. What does it sound like? It sounds like you don't care what the other person wants, and you just want them to give you something.
Thank you. Thank you. Everybody do an internal poll. This is a yes or no poll. Do you want to talk to somebody who just wants your money and doesn't care about you? No, I don't want to talk to that person. That's terrible. What I want to pull out for you is that it appears that there is one right way to slide into somebody's LinkedIn DMs and not be a creep. That's option one. Option two is to be a creep. You've set up a scenario where there's a yes and a no. There's a binary. This is actually an entire gradient with an infinite number of shades in between. There are a myriad of ways to send a DM that are not used car salesperson. There are a myriad of ways to send a DM that are totally passive and don't contain question marks. And then there's an entire realm in between there. And Natalie, I'm going to assume that you would like to be somewhere in the middle, not at either extreme.
Yeah, and the difficult thing is that I can't actually send an in-mail if I'm not connected to these people, and I have a, well, what is it, 300 characters for the connection. So words are of the essence, and it's ironic I'm talking about this because I'm in marketing. I should be able to say what I need to say in 300 characters.
Yeah, so you got a character limit.
Mhm.
Go back, if you don't still have the link, go back to the magic formula that I put in, and I can put it in here again.
Yeah, I already filled it out.
So start with the magic formula and then edit to 300 characters. You can be really concise.
Mhm.
And I think the bigger issue here is that you're self-editing ad nauseum to remove the creep factor.
Mm.
Okay. So I slide into DMs all the time. And there's two things that I think I might be doing that I'm going to invite you to think about doing. It's very low stakes for me to slide into DMs. Also, I'm so sorry if you can hear the snowblower. He's just really wants to be right here, back and forth. It's low stakes for me. If I slide into any of your DMs and you don't respond, that's cool. Wasn't meant to be. Let it go. And that comes from a belief of there's an abundance of opportunities for me. I fully, truly, with my whole heart and every molecule in my body, believe that there's an abundance of opportunities that are just right for me, that are inspiring, that are fun, that are profitable, that are amazing. I've done a lot of work to get there. The second one is, I don't edit it. I don't know, half of the DMs that I write to somebody I don't know, I'm doing it on my phone. Typos included. If somebody doesn't talk to me because I have a typo in there, I probably didn't super want to talk to them anyway. If somebody doesn't talk to me because my grammar was off, it's probably not my human. And so one of the beliefs might be, this is high stakes and opportunities are scarce. Does that resonate at all for you?
I'm starting my business, so yeah.
So it feels really true. There's a lot of pressure. You're just getting going. This feels really high stakes and it feels like there's limited opportunities.
Yeah, you let go of the golden handcuffs and suddenly you're jumping without a parachute.
I've been there. I let go of my golden handcuffs when my company had $130 in revenue to date. That was scary. And when we as humans who live in bodies that were designed by elite survivalists do things that are scary, our bodies sabotage us. They send all sorts of thoughts to your intrepid human brain. Don't do it. Don't do it. You're being cringe. Edit that one more time. You don't. Your body wants today to be like yesterday and tomorrow to be like today. And what you're doing, Natalie, is you're like, yeah, body, no, we're going to change everything. And your body's kicking your butt right now. So it's okay to honor that. It's okay to say, so what I hope you take away from this, being a creep and being passive are not the only two options. Find the spot in the gradient that feels right for you. And see if maybe you can work on a belief that is a little bit something like there's an abundance of opportunities. Maybe abundance isn't the right word. There's an abundance of customers. There's an abundance of people who want to pay me. I'm really good at what I do. I have value. I'm adding value to their DMs. Work on a belief that helps to make this task easier. And I said this earlier, please don't just force of will through this. Anything that you're doing that you're leveraging force of will, I'm sure you can get it done. You're all smart people. You won't be able to sustain that very long. We can do things through force of will, but eventually our bodies win. Do you have any questions about this? Or does anyone have any questions about this?
Thank you.
Thank you.
You can slide into your DMs.
I invite all of you to slide into my DMs. After workshop number 2, I had days and days and days of incredible DM conversations, and I want that back. Tell me everything. I mean it. I will answer all of you.
Awesome. Next question is suggestions on navigating, providing something of value to the other person as well. My lack of experience means I might not have anything to offer in return.
Okay. I'm sending you love. This is a really hard belief to have. This is a really hard belief to sit in. To think, to feel, to behave as if you don't have anything to offer that person. I see you. I hold this to be true. I understand where you're coming from. And if the rules of engagement you have set up are, I can't ask unless I can offer, you have now vastly restricted the number of times you will ask. Thank you, Bettina. For whoever typed this in and for the 5 people who upvoted it, I have homework for you. Pen and paper or typey, I don't care. I want you to make a list of everything you can offer the world. And I triple dog dare you to write the numbers of the list and get to 3 digits. I'm really good at cleaning drains. I understand how drains work. I've got the right plunger. I've got the right technique. I know just how hot the water needs to be. I got it. I don't even like that, and I'm good at it. Let everything be on the list. The reason I want you to make a list of this, our bodies hold on to negative things 10 times more than they hold on to positive things. So for every 10 negative things that you found, your body might maybe find 1, and it doesn't really want to remind you of it. Also, I just want to throw out here that in this paradigm of I can't ask until I can offer, you've written rules for a game that you won't win at. What would it be like to write different rules? If anybody who shares this or upvoted wants to come off of mute, I invite you to do that. This might work better as a conversation, or I can just guess what you're thinking, which I don't really love doing. And nobody has to come off mute.
Can I actually contribute something as like an answer?
Please. Hi, Megan.
Hi. So, and this is kind of an explanation of my comment. And so like, I think, and thank you, Laurie, this has been great. And I think a lot of it gets at it, like, don't overthink your value. Like, I was at a networking event Sunday morning, and what I offered to people at that networking event is the table where we were had run out of pamphlets about the networking event. And I knew where the pamphlets, the master pile of pamphlets was. And so what I did is I went and got and refilled the pamphlets and gave them to the rest of us that were at the table so that we could all be more informed about what the details were about the networking event. Like, that was it, right? That was all I did. I didn't have any expertise or knowledge on the topic or my career, or I didn't have any connections. Like, that was the only way I participated. Like, to the comments about you don't know the room, like, that was the only way I participated in that event. Like, to make it better, right? Is I, like,
Megan, thank you for
restocked
sharing that.
people.
And I want to notice that you have some gifts that some people lack.
Maybe
You
yeah,
notice
okay,
details. You notice details.
right.
You asked yourself, what can I do? You found something. You're a self-starter and you're interested in helping.
There you go. Right.
And you
right.
have follow through. That was 6. You're well on your way to 100.
Right. There you go.
Thank you for
So
sharing this.
anybody could do that. Like, anybody could do that. And right, like, just think about those little things.
The
Anyway.
thing is, Megan, yes, anybody could do it. And I would argue that you are uniquely qualified to be the one who brings that value. Because not everybody notices that. People's brains work in really different ways. We all have different
Right.
perceptions.
Right.
But I
guess
guarantee
I've
you in a
had to-
networking event,
Yeah.
I would never notice that pamphlets were missing. And if I did, I wouldn't do anything about it.
But I've had to, I guess, coach myself on, like, some of the things you've talked about to not be in the room and intimidated, thinking, oh, I can't do anything here. I don't have it. Like, I don't have any, like, I've had to kind of train myself to be like, what is a way I can offer something? Because I have that kind of imposter syndrome a little bit, I think, that people are getting at. And I've had to, like, you know, practice that little bit of, like, oh, here's one thing I can offer. I can notice the pamphlets, you know. but I'll
Thank you. I appreciate that. I hope that answered the original question because I've lost track of what that was.
Yeah, sorry. I switched this one because we were kind of answering this one. But
Great.
yeah, I think it definitely did. But yeah, how do you make yourself, like, how do you put yourself in the conversation with other people without feeling awkward? This person didn't talk to anyone at the conference. I think we
I
addressed
want
that.
to just throw this out here. It's okay to feel awkward in that room. There's nothing wrong with feeling awkward in that room. That room is awkward. And I guarantee you're not the only one who feels awkward in there. If this helps, take it. If it doesn't, throw it in the trash. One of the things that helps me in those rooms when I talk to somebody who is definitely feeling awkward is I pause to share some humanity. I really like that. And if you don't like that, don't do it. But I find that it helps that person calm down and realize they're just having a conversation with a human. And I want to remind all of you, if you take one thing from this call, you do not have to go to that room. You do not have to go to that room. And if you go, you don't have to stay. You can go and notice that today is not the day for that room and get out of there. There's one more tool I want to show you. I, against the advice of my coach, spend a lot of time doing introductions and charge nothing and ask nothing and I don't expect anything. You don't owe me a favor. I do this because I love it. This is the form that I use now that you're all first connections with me on LinkedIn, or you will be as soon as I get to LinkedIn and I accept them. You will be able to see who you are second connections with, and I am the shared connection. If I know someone on LinkedIn who you want to talk to, fill out this form. This form is the magic question plus a couple of details so that I can actually track your introduction. Contrary to popular belief, the vast majority of people I ask say yes. I don't know most of them. I accept all LinkedIn requests. I don't have numbers on this, but I bet 60% of the people I know on LinkedIn I've never met and I don't have a relationship with, and I will ask them for anything. So I will help you, and I am totally fearless about asking for audacious things because I have a lot of data points that people want to help and they want to say yes. Think back to that dream that you put in, the first form that I put in here. I know you're in here. You all have a big dream. You all have a big wish. Consider the question, what would help me move the needle on this? And if the answer to that is an introduction, find the people or the company that you want to talk to and be clear about what you're asking. Melinda, thank you. Do you all want a regular introvert circle? I can do that. In fact, I already have that. We meet twice a month. And the most beautiful thing happened in the last one, that we had a critical mass of introverts, I think, I'm guessing, and this beautiful writing activity came out of it. I hold office hours twice a month for an hour, and it feels a little bit like this feels. Now, I'm not going to lie. I'm a gregarious extrovert, and I'm really holding back. I'm usually a lot more fast rate of talking. Come join us in office hours. The first month is free. You can try 2 sessions without even committing to it. Everybody who's in there wants to help everybody else who's in there. If you all ask for it, you can all email me ahead of time and say, I want this to be a quiet time. We can do that. I don't set an agenda for this call. You all make the agenda for this call. And extroverts benefit from writing too. It's not that easy for us to access most of the time. So I want to honor Natalie. You need to bounce soon. I'm happy to take over Q&A. Thank you for your help.
Cool.
And the rest of us have 6 minutes left. I'm going to go down. If you're cold messaging someone on LinkedIn and they don't reply, oh no, I lost it.
Oh
If
yeah.
you're cold messaging, it's okay, no worries.
I still.
I'll find it. I have it open right here.
Okay, perfect.
So sorry about that. Natalie was the host and thought she had made me the host and didn't make me the host. So we're back. So the question was about, sorry, I'm distracted admitting everybody back in. The question was about how many times do I DM if somebody doesn't answer me? There's no right answer to this. Ugh, how's that for a non-answer? There's no right answer to this. I would ask back to you, if anybody wants to come off of mic, why does it feel weird to send multiples? Does it feel inaccessible to even send the second one? What would it be like to send 1,000? What would it be like to acknowledge that a lot of people are pretty spacey about their LinkedIn messages? Because it's a little bit hard to track unread messages in LinkedIn. What would it be like to pursue the track of getting their email or their phone number if you really, really want to talk to them? What would it be like to invite yourself to understand that there are an abundance of opportunities that are right for you, and that might not be the right one? And in the absence of asking one-on-one whoever wrote that question, again, I have to assume, and if anybody wants to come off mic on this one, I'm happy to do that. What's so hard about sending multiples? Why is that so impossible?
I'll answer that question. It's because for me personally, right, I feel like I've already been rejected after the first one. They haven't responded, not even said hey or accepted your connection request or anything like that. So it's just like, why do I want to keep trying? Because I'm already rejected and they're not going to read my multiple requests afterwards.
So Shilpa, I want to go back to this basic human thing. Remember what I said about the village and getting kicked out of the village?
Yeah.
Your response is on message with, oh no, I'm about to get kicked out of the village. They're going to think that I'm anti-community. It's really easy when somebody doesn't respond. It's really easy to write the story. So this is a perception loop. It's really easy to write the story of, I was too, what was the word somebody used? I was too desperate. Oh God, the desperate word. I was too desperate. She thought I was cringy. Now she thinks I'm not worth talking to. So I'm going to not write her anymore. Do you see how I wrote that whole story? I authored that whole thing. And there might be a teensy tablespoon of truth in there, maybe, but most of it's fiction. I have a very good friend who is very LinkedIn famous, who cannot attend to her DMs on LinkedIn. I have known her for over 20 years. She wants to help you. She wants to use her network to help you. She will. So I text her because I have her phone number. She cannot manage her LinkedIn DMs. A lot of people who are LinkedIn famous just can't. It's obnoxious. So I want to invite you, everybody who holds this to be true, I want to invite you to think, it's not me. It's them. And some people you just can't get through to on LinkedIn. Now, what I would invite you to say is, do you really, 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 really need to talk to this human? Is it super important that it's that human? Then find another way to get to them. And if it's not super important that that's human and it's just bringing up these feelings of rejection over and over so you feel terrible about networking, remember the word cloud at the beginning? Let it go. Let it go. Do you want to work for somebody who can't attend to their messages? Maybe. I would. You might not want to. Does that answer your question? I'm always so sad when we're out of time. Come play with me in office hours.